Okay, so next bit is test planning topics. A test plan template or a sample test plan that you can easily modify to create your own project specific test plan. The problem with this approach is that it makes it too easy to put the emphasis on the document, not on the planning process. So leads and managers of the large software projects have been known to take electronic copy of a test plan template or an existing test plan, spend a few hours cutting, copying, pasting, searching, and replacing, and turn out a unique test plan for their projects. So they are having these people like test leads and managers are having number of copies, so they have to select a single final copy out of all these things. They felt they had done a great thing, creating in a few hours what other testers had taken weeks or months to create. They missed the point through and their project showed it when no one on the project team knew what the heck the testers were doing or why. So, what follows instead is a list of important topics that should be thoroughly discussed, understood, and agreed to among your entire project team, including all the testers. The list may not map perfectly to all projects, but because it's a list of common and important test related concerns, it's likely more applicable than a test plan template. By its nature, planning is a very dynamic process. So, if you find yourself in a situation where the listed topics don't apply, feel free to adjust them to fit. So, of course, the result of the test planning process will be a document of some sort. The format may be predefined if the industry or company has a standard like IEEE. So the IEEE standard 8291998 for software test documentation suggests a common form. Otherwise, the format will be up to your team and should be what's most effective in communicating the fruits of your work. Okay, so in this way we are going to make planning document of your particular projects. So in that we are having high level expectations. The first topic to address in the planning process are the ones that define the test team's high level expectations. They are fundamental topics that must be agreed to by everyone on the project team, but they are often overlooked. They might be considered too obvious and assumed to be understood by everyone, but a good tester knows never to assume anything, right? You should not assume anything. You have to write your own test cases and see what is the uh, expected output and what is the actual output. So what is the purpose of the test planning process and software test plan? You know the reason for test planning. Okay, you will soon, but do the programmers know? Do the technical writers know? Does management know? More importantly, do they agree with and support the test planning process? So that's why the high level expectations will be checked out of this. Then people, places, and things. Test planning needs to identify the people working on the project, what they need, and how to contact them. If it's a small project, this may seem unnecessary, but even small projects can have team members scattered across long distances or undergo personal changes that make tracking who does what difficult. A large team might have dozens or hundreds of points of contact. The test team will likely work with all of them, and knowing who they are and how to contact them is very important. The test plan should include names, titles, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and areas of responsibility for all key people on the project. Similarly, where documents are stored, that means what shelf or file server the test plan is sitting on, where the software can be overloaded from, where the test tools are located, and so on, need to be identified. Think email addresses, servers, and websites for this. If hardware is necessary for running the tests, where is it stored and how it is obtained? So, if there are external test labs for configuration testing, where are they located and how are they scheduled? That must be known. This topic is best described as pointers to everything that a new tester would ask about. It's often a good test planning area for a new tester to be responsible for. As you find the answers to all your questions, simply record what you discover. What you want to know is probably what everyone will want to know too. Then we will see some of the definitions out of this. Getting everyone on the project team to agree with the high level quality and reliability goal is a difficult task. Unfortunately, those terms are only the beginning of the words and concepts that need to be defined for a software project. The software doesn't do something that the product specification said it should do, or the software does something that the product specification says it should not do. The software does something that the product specification does not mention, and the software doesn't do something that the product specification doesn't mention but it should. So would you say that every person on the team knows, understands, and more importantly agrees with that definitions? Does the project manager know what your goals as a software tester? If not, the test planning process should work to make sure they do. This is one of the largest problems that occurs within a project team, the ignorance of what common terms mean as they apply to the project being developed. The programmers think a term means one thing, the tester another, management another. Okay, so imagine the contention that would occur if the programmers and testers did not have the same understanding of something as fundamental as what a bug is. So the test planning process is where the words and terms used by team members are defined. Differences need to be identified and consensus obtained to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Here is a list of few common terms and very loose definitions. Don't take the list to be complete nor the definition to be fact. They are very dependent on what the project is, the development model the team is following, and the experience level of the people on the team. The terms are listed only to start your thinking about what should be defined for your projects and to show you how important it is for everyone to know the meanings. So the first is build, a compilation of code and content that the programmers put together to be tested. The test plan should define the frequency of builds, that is daily, weekly, like this, and the expected quality level. Next, test release document, TRD, that is a document that the programmers release with each build stating what is new, different, fixed, and ready for testing. Then alpha release, a very early build intended for limited distribution to a few key customers and to marketing for demonstration purpose. It's not intended to be used in a real world situation. The exact contents and quality levels must be understood by everyone who will use the alpha release. Next is beta release. The formal build intended for widespread distribution to potential customers. So bug bashes and beta testing, that the specific reasons for doing the beta need to be defined. Then spec complete, that is a scheduled date when the specification is supposedly complete and will no longer change. So after you work on few projects, you may think that this date occurs only in fiction books, but it really should be set with the specification only undergoing minor and controlled changes after that. So you should not go for changes after that particular date. Then feature complete, a scheduled date when the programmers will stop adding new feature to the code and concentrate on fixing the bugs. Or else what will happen, the customer will change his requirement, he will add some more and more features after a specific deadline, and you will not get proper time for bug fixation, testing, or that process. Okay, so there should be some specific date for feature complete. Then there is a bug committee. So this is a group made up of the test managers, project manager, development manager, and product support manager that meets weekly to review the bugs and determine which ones to fix and how they should be fixed. The bug committee is one of the primary users of the quality and reliability goals set forth in the test plan. Then coming to the intergroup responsibilities. So intergroup responsibilities identify tasks and deliverables that potentially affect the test efforts. The test team's work is driven by many other functional groups, programmers, project managers, technical writers, and so on. If the responsibilities are not planned out, the project specifically, the testing can become a comedy show of I got in, got it, no, you can take it, didn't you handle, no, I thought you did. Likewise, comments will come out. The type of task that needs to be defined are not the obvious ones. Testers tests, programmers program. The troublesome task potentially have multiple owners or something no owner or a shared responsibility. The easiest way to plan this and communicate the plan is with a simple table as shown in the figure. Okay, so this figure will show you the tasks and the related person who will be doing this. So we'll see one or two rows out of this particular table. So first task is write vision statement for the project. So it will be by the marketing team because they will be responsible. Marketing team is responsible for making the visionary statements, so that particular statement will go to all the viewers or users of that product. Then create list of product components. So this will be the task of program management. So whatever the functionalities you will be providing for your product, so that will be done by the program management. Then create contacts, that also will be done by project management. Then something like internal product architecture, so it will be done by the programmers. Okay, so in this way this particular table will be formed to give the idea about which task will be done by which member. So the task run down the left side and the possible owners are across the top. An X denotes the owner of the task and the dash denotes a contributor. A blank means that the group has nothing to do with that particular task. So deciding which task to list comes with experience, definitely. So ideally, several senior members of the team can make a good first pass at a list, but each project is different and will have its own unique intergroup responsibilities and dependencies. A good place to start is to question people about past projects and what they can remember of neglected tasks. So, what will and will not be tested? So you might be surprised to find that everything included with a software product is not necessarily tested. There may be components of the software that were previously released and have already been tested. So content may be taken as is from another software company. So an outsourcing company may supply pre-tested portions of the product. So this can be possible. The planning process needs to identify each component of the software and make known whether it will be tested. If it is not tested, there needs to be a reason it won't be covered. It would be a disaster if a price of code slipped through the development cycle completely untested because of misunderstanding. Then test phases. To plan the test phases, the test team will we will look at the proposed development model and decide whether unique phases or stages of testing should be performed over the course of the project. In a code and fix model, there are probably only one test phase test until someone else stop. If the waterfall and spiral models, then there can be several test phases from examining the product specification to acceptance testing. Yes, test planning is one of the test phases. The test planning process should identify each proposed test phase and make each phase known to the project team. This process often helps the entire team form and understand the overall development model. Then coming to the test strategy. An exercise associated with defining the test phases is defining the test strategy. Definitely. The test strategy describes the approach that the test team will use to test the software, both overall and in each phase. Think back to what you have learned so far about software testing. If you were presented with a product to test, you would need to decide if it's better to use black box testing or white box testing. If you decide to use a mix of both techniques, when will you apply each and to which part of the software? Okay, so it might be a good idea to test some of the code manually and other code with tools and automation. If tools will be used, do they need to be developed or can existing commercial solutions be purchased? If so, which ones? Maybe it would be more efficient to outsource the entire test efforts to a specialized testing company and require only a skeleton testing crew to oversee their work. So deciding on strategy is a complete task, one that needs to be made by very experienced testers because it can determine the success or failure of the test efforts. It's vitally important for everyone on the project team to understand and be in a agreement with the proposed plan. Then resource requirement. Planning the resource requirement is the process of deciding what is necessary to accomplish the testing strategy. Everything that could possibly be used for testing over the course of the project needs to be considered. For example, people. So how many, what experience, what expertise, should they be full time, part time, contract or students, that will be decided. Then equipment, so computer, test hardware, printers, tools, whatever is needed. Then office and lab space, so where will they be located, how big will they be, then how will they be arranged, that will be taken care of. Then coming to the software, that is word processors or databases, custom tools, what will be purchased, what needs to be written. Okay, and then outsource companies, will they be used, what criteria will be used for choosing them, how much will they cost, so that will be taken care of. And about miscellaneous supplies, so discs, phones, reference books, training material, what else might be necessary over the course of the project. The specific resource requirements are very project, team, and company dependent. So, the test plan efforts will need to carefully evaluate what will be needed to test the software. It's often difficult or even impossible to obtain resources late in the project that were not budgeted for at the beginning. So, it's imperative to be thorough when creating the list. Then coming towards the tester assignments, so once the test phase, test strategy and resource requirements are defined, that information can be used with the product specification to break out the individual testers assignment. The intergroup responsibilities discussed earlier in that matrix form or table form dealt with what functional group, that is management or test, programmers and so on, is responsible for high level tasks. So, planning the tester assignment identifies the testers responsible for each area of the software and for each testable feature. Then, test schedule. The test schedule takes all the information presented so far and maps it into the overall project schedule. This stage is often critical in the test planning effort because a few highly desired features that were thought to be easy to design and code maybe turn out to be very time consuming to test. For example, would be a program that does no printing except in one limited obscure area. So no one may realize the testing impact the printing has, but keeping the feature in the product could result in weeks of printers configuration testing time. Okay, then coming towards the test cases, um, so you already know what test cases are from what you have learned in this particular chapter. So writing and tracking test cases, this bit will trace more on writing for the test cases after this particular bit. Then coming towards the bug reporting, the possibilities range from shouting over a cubicle wall to sticky notes to complex bug tracking database. Exactly what process will be used to manage the bugs needs to be planned so that each and every bug is tracked from when it's found to when it's fixed and never ever be forgotten. Then metrics and statistics. Metrics and statistics are the means by which the progress and the success of the project and the testing are tracked. The test planning process should identify exactly what information will be gathered, what decisions will be made with them, and who will be responsible for collecting that information. So examples of test metrics that might be useful are total bugs found daily over the course of the project, list of the bugs that still need to be fixed, current bugs ranked by how severe they are, then total bugs found per tester, number of bugs found per software feature or area, risks and issues, all these things. So a common and very useful part of test planning is to identify potential problem or risky areas of the project ones that could have an impact on the test efforts. So suppose that you and 10 other new testers whose total software test experience was reading this a particular book were assigned to test the software for a new nuclear power plant. So that would be a risk. So maybe some new software needs to be tested against 1500 something modems, but there is only time in the project schedule to test 500 of them. So this is another kind of a risk. So we have to check all these things properly. So we will see next bit, writing and tracking the test case afterwards.